After a bit of a break, I am back with new episodes and I am so excited for that. And while I have some cool and fun ideas for upcoming episodes, I want to continue on with the series about growing your business while still working a 9 to 5. I think this is a topic that we don't talk about nearly enough. There are so many resources out there about marketing and getting full time in your business, but there isn't enough out there about balancing it all, about the pressure to do your 9 to 5 and grow a business and have responsibilities in your personal life. And I've helped so many of my clients balance all of this, and I want to make sure that I have this resource complete for you. Now, if you missed part one of it, go back and listen to that. The first episode in the series, we were talking about giving yourself permission to take your business seriously, even while you have a 9 to 5 job. That having a 9 to 5 does not make your business less than. I talked about how it's so easy for some people to think that, this business isn't serious unless I'm full time in it, or unless you're actively looking to go full time right this second in the next 6 months or so. So, if you missed that, forgot a little bit about that, go back and listen to it if you haven't already. Now, this week, I want to go a layer deeper because even when you decide that, yes, okay, my business is real and it does matter, there's still this next hurdle that comes up for so many people. It came up for me, it comes up for a lot of my clients. And that hurdle is actually putting yourself out there and talking about your business. Specifically, putting yourself out there when you're not sure who at your job is actually watching. Now, before I go in any deeper, I want to tell you all the story. And this is one that I don't know if I've told in a lot of detail before, but I think that it's really important because it really illustrates something that I want you to really understand going into this episode. So, when I first started my business back in 2019, I was excited, like genuinely really excited, and had this idea. I had all of this experience that I had from my previous life and my previous jobs. I had this vision of what I wanted to build. At the time, I was working full time at my 9 to 5, leading up international marketing in the concrete industry. And I was excited because I knew that this business would give me a creative outlet and a way to grow that I just really wasn't getting in my job. Like I could jump and do ideas and do things that came to mind. I didn't have to get board approval. I didn't have to go to endless meetings with various departments. Like I could just go and I could do. And starting that business just felt like so exciting. So one of the first things that I did when I was like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm starting my business because I felt like the most legitimate professional thing that I could do was update my LinkedIn profile. I added my business, put the start date, listed myself as the founder, and I thought nothing of it. I was just like, okay, yes, this is real now. I'm putting myself out there. And then about 2 weeks later, I got an invitation from human resources and my boss to come in for a meeting. And I want you to understand, I had no idea what this meeting was about. I was genuinely confused. Like, what did I do? What's happening? What's going on? And when I got in there, it was actually pretty straightforward. They wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be in competition with the company for clients. And respectfully, I had zero interest in getting concrete industry clients, like none. So there was absolutely zero chance of competition. And they also just wanted to remind me not to be working on my business during, the designated 9 to 5 work hours. That was it. And in the grand scheme of things, it was a minor conversation. But that is not at all how I received that conversation. That 15-minute HR conversation made me feel completely exposed. Like I had accidentally announced something to people who I hadn't really actually meant to tell yet. And suddenly I was hyper aware that people were watching, that people were seeing what I was doing. And that feeling of being watched, it made me pull back almost immediately. I stopped posting about my business on LinkedIn. And for a long time, like I didn't talk about it there at all. I even preemptively blocked certain people from being able to see my content on other platforms because I was just like, I don't know who's looking and I don't want to find out the hard way again. Now, here's what I want to say about all of that. Because on one hand, I'm sure you've heard people say that people really aren't paying attention, but this story might scream to you, see, like people are watching. You do need to be careful. And the truth is, yes, some people are probably watching. My story is evidence of that. When you put yourself out there, especially on a professional space like LinkedIn, there is a really real possibility that someone for your job is going to see it. And depending on your company, depending on your relationship with your leadership, depending on what your HR policies actually say, that might matter or it might not. And I always say, you know your workplace situation better than anyone else. So it's worth knowing what your company's policies actually are before you start putting yourself out there in certain spaces. But here's what I don't want you to do with this information. I don't want you to use that as a reason to not show up at all because honestly that's what I did. And looking back, I gave so much power to the people who ultimately had no control over what I do on my own time, with my own business, on my own personal account. And even after I left, even after I was no longer getting a paycheck from my 9 to 5, when I completely left, I was still letting the thought of what they might think determine whether or not I posted something on LinkedIn. And I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I had understood earlier that my LinkedIn wasn't a company account. It was mine. My time outside of work was mine. And what I chose to build on my own time was mine. And no one, not HR, my boss, my coworkers, had any say in that. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to spend years giving that power to people who don't deserve it. So now you might be thinking, okay, great, Danielle, you shared the story. You shared that like I wish I had taken, more ownership and leadership within my own journey of putting myself out there. But like, what do I do? How do I navigate this? Because I don't want to just tell you to be brave and put yourself out there anyway, because that is not helpful advice. It just doesn't. I know from experience that if you do not feel safe in a space where you're going to try to market, you are not going to show up fully to promote your business. You're going to be guarded. You're going to self censor. You're going to second guess every single thing that you post. And that energy is going to come through in your content and in your marketing. Now, what helped me was finding a space where I actually felt comfortable. For me, that was Instagram. I created a brand new business account separate from anything personal, separate from anything connected to my job, and that felt like a space that I had control over. I can decide who saw it. I could set the tone from the beginning. And because of that, I actually showed up there consistently over time. And opportunities came from it because I was actually talking about my business instead of hiding it. And here's what I want you to understand about that: the platform itself is not the point. Instagram was right for me at the time, but it might not be right for you. Maybe you do feel safer on LinkedIn and you're totally comfortable there. Maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's Substack, maybe it's YouTube. Maybe it's in person networking events where you feel the most alive and confident talking about what it is that you do. It honestly, it just doesn't matter which one it is. What matters is this: you need to find a space where you feel safe and confident enough to actually show up and start consistently talking about your business. Because here is the one thing that absolutely is required for you to grow your business: you have to talk about it. That's it. Like, that's the foundation of all marketing. You have to be willing to speak about it. You have to be willing to speak about what you do, who you help, why it matters. And the only way you're going to do that consistently is if you feel safe enough to actually do it. So find that space. Start there. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to conquer LinkedIn if LinkedIn feels like a minefield right now, like your coworkers or your boss will creep on you. Give yourself permission to start where you feel strong, because showing up consistently in one place where you feel confident is going to do so much more for you and your business than showing up sporadically everywhere because you feel like you should. I want to leave you with this: the fear of being seen is real. It's valid. I've lived it. And I'm not going to tell you that it goes away completely overnight. But what I can tell you is that on the other side of that fear is a version of you that is showing up, that is about your business and attracting the exact people you are meant to serve. And that version of you doesn't require you to have left your job first. It doesn't require you to have it all figured out. It just requires you to find one space where you feel safe enough to start. That's it. Just start there. And if you want support figuring out not just where to show up, but what to actually say when you get there, this is exactly what I do with my clients when I work with them one on one. Like, I can help you find that one space where you feel comfortable letting the world know about your business, no matter if you want to keep it private from your 9 to 5 for now, or if you want to tell everyone. I can help you to get clear on what it is that you want to say, how to position your business, and how to do it in a way that gets the right people ready to work with you, and how you just feel confident that you can actually get people to work with you. And I've said this before, like nearly half of my clients, like they have 9 to 5 jobs, and I help them to book clients to show up consistently and build something that feels like a real business, because this is one. And I help them to feel confident doing it in a way where they feel like, yeah, I have a job, but I also have this really real business, and I feel confident every time I show up to go and market it. If that sounds like what you need, the link to learn more is in the show notes. Next week, I'm going to wrap up this series with part 3. And this one is actually about the shame that a lot of 9 to 5 business owners have around how quickly, or honestly slowly, they think that they're moving in their business. And why I actually think your job and being able to maneuver and manage running your business with the 9 to 5 is actually going to give you a big advantage. So you don't want to miss out on that last part of the series. So, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be back at the podcast after a little break. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.